Okay, class. Hopefully you found the first tutorial fairly straightforward. I'm sure there's a few little bits that I probably went through too quickly or skipped over, and I was able to help you out with that, and you're learning very quickly. The second one I'm going to go through is the practice activity number 2, the MS rod bracket, and you can see that this looks significantly more complicated. Okay. We've got a lot more features going on here. There's a lot of dimensions on this one, so it's going to be hard to find some of the sizes. It's all there, I promise you, but it's going to take us a little bit of time to go through that. Okay, jump over to Inventor. Here it is fully modeled. And you can see if I just go through my extrusions, my first extrusion was that sort of base feature. I did another one here. I added the chamfers, the hole in the center, the holes on the end here, and just for differences, I added the other two holes just using a sketch and extruding the sketch. Okay, so let's close that down. I'm going to hit new. Again, I always hit the drop down, so I've got full control. I want to make sure I'm in the metric, standard millimeter, and hit create. And again, I'm faced with that completely blank screen with nothing going on. Okay, remember the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create this bit here. Okay, so the first thing has got a diameter 50 circle in the middle. Okay, start a 2D sketch, select my plane. I'll select that one just there, and I'm going to create a circle. It's asking me for the center point and the diameter, which was 50 millimeters. Okay, hit OK. And if I just zoom out by hitting the center part there, it always zooms out. You can see there it is. The next part I'm going to do is this bit on the top here, which is 64 millimeters long. I'm just going to draw that in as if it was a rectangle, and it's 16 mil down. A rectangle, my first point is there, and it's 16 millimeters down. And if I just hit the tab key, it will jump over, and I think it was 64 millimeters. Let me just double check that. 64 millimeters. You can see my short-term memory is not that good. So there it is. Let's do the bottom one as well. 56 across and 16 up. You see 56 across, 16 up. Hopefully you've got a better memory than I do. 16 up, 56 across. Just tabbing between them. See that? Enter. What happens if I actually don't add, if I just OK that? Let's say, for example, I have forgotten to add that dimension. No big drums, I can just add that in. Okay, using the dimension command there, enter that in. Okay, so I've finished that sketch. It's not fully constrained. I'm not in the habit of fully constraining my sketches. It's very time consuming to do that, and I haven't had any real major issues from not constraining a sketch completely. Some CAD packages require you to fully constrain your sketches. Okay, while I was babbling on about that, I missed my next step here. I'm just going to hit the extrude command, and I need to select the 3 separate regions now. So 1 region, 2 regions, 3 regions, and it is 76 millimeters in depth. 76, enter. You can see there it is. So, cancel that. So there it is. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create this box that sits on the back here. See that box that sits on the back here? It's 76 millimeters high, 75 millimeters high, 16 wide. Let's do that now. I'm going to create a 2D sketch. Actually, let's just rename this. We'll just call this main extrusion. So I really can't think of anything better at this stage. Start a 2D sketch, select here. I've forgotten those dimensions already, 75. I'm going to start my rectangle there. It's going to be 76 deep, 75 up, hit enter. Okay, finish my sketch. Now this is where it would be fantastic if I had a paper copy of the drawing sitting next to me. Then I wouldn't have to remember it all the time. All right, so I've just hit extrude, and you can see it's actually gone in the wrong direction. Yours might have gone the other way, I don't know. But if it has gone in the direction like mine, I just have to flip that, and it's jumped. If I just see here, it's gone from joining the parts. If I just flip that, it's actually gone to subtracting the parts. So I don't want that. I need to go back to join, and I just need to add the 16 millimeters, double check that. Yeah, 16 millimeters wide. Okay, hit OK there. So there's the part there. Okay, so let's just rename that. Yep, there we go, and I'll just put this in back. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add these 45-degree chamfers, which are 13 and 13. And you can see here under the modify section of the panel, we've actually got a chamfer tool. This is a tool I use quite often. So if I just select those two lines and type in 13, you can see it will automatically do those features. So I've just applied that. I use apply if you want to create more than one, or if you're okay, it'll just create it. And you can see that it's got the chamfer. I'm going to rename that. Keep the chamfer 1. I'm just going to call it 13 millimeter chamfer there. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is going to put this center hole in the middle here. Let's just check its diameter. It's got a diameter of 25. So let's just do that. I'm going to use the hole feature that we used last time. I'm going to select this plane. So there it is. I'm going to align it with the center of the diameter 51. And there it is, just by clicking either one of these two lines. Now you can see it's not going all the way through, which is a real shame. Okay. So what I'm actually going to do is just have a look at my options and say, look at this, it's got a through all feature. There it goes all the way through. And I'm going to change that to 25 diameter and hit OK. All right, and I'm just going to rename that. Cancel that, sorry. And I'll call that 25 mil hole. Get rid of hole 1. Just call it 25 mil hole. There we go. And there it is there. Let's have a look. I think there's another one on the back panel here. And there is. It's 32 millimeters down from the edge, central, and again it's a diameter 25. So I'm just going to rotate or orientate my model using the navigation box here. You can see I'm never really having to go to the orbit feature. Very rarely do I jump into the orbit feature. I'm finding that I can use this navigation box for nearly 99% of my time. Okay, hole, select my back panel. You can see it's got the through all here, so it's actually cutting all the way through, as if I was drilling a hole and I just kept on pushing that drill all the way through. So that's not really what I want to go through. I can use a distance if I like and set the distance, or as you've realized, I'm not very good on my memory and I've actually forgotten how deep that part was. I can use my 2 tool and select the back panel there, and it'll only go through to that point. Okay. Now, position wise, it's 32 mil from down from this edge. So if I just select that edge, type 32, fantastic. And there it is. Now it's slightly off center there, isn't it? So let's open up that hole. And let's see what our options are to get that central. Well, actually, I might as well just use another one here. Looking at the width of this is 76, so it'll be half of 76. Here's a great trick in Inventor. 76 / 2 means 76 divided by 2. Okay, hit enter. Hit OK, and there it is, centrally placed. Okay, so we can use a lot of math equations in our parts, which is great if you want things to automatically scale. Right, I think we're almost there on this part. We've just got these 2 holes at the front here. Now I'm going to create these using a sketch and extrude the sketch. Create a sketch. It's created on that face. Automatically rotates. Let me just pan that across there so get my head out of the way. It's just 2 circles, so let's just draw them in. Let's just get the diameter right first. It is 12 mil. And type in 12, enter, another one, yeah, we'll line it up. I'll just escape that, I'll show you what happened there. You can see that it automatically grabs onto other features that exist. So you can see that's actually lining these 2 centrally. So let's do 12 mil there. Okay. I'm going to also do it manually here by creating a horizontal constraint here by selecting the 2 center points there. So now if I move one, they go up the same. Okay, that'll save me 1 dimension putting that in. Okay, so the height of it is 16 in. You can see that's 16 in. So let's do that. 18, oh, that was close, wasn't it? 16. And then I'll have to do from each edge there as well, which is, oh no, it's from the center. So 22 in from the center there. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a line in the center here. So see that line tool? I've just collected that. If I scroll along the bottom here, eventually I'll just get this little green dot, which is the midpoint. And I can just draw up a line like that. If I just select that line and then select this tool over here, turn it into a construction line. So it means it won't extrude, but I can actually just use it for dimensioning. So that was 22. And cancel. Do the same to this one. 19, move that 22, enter. Hit OK. And there's my 2 holes. Let me finish the sketch here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude these down. Again, I'm doing 2, so I need to select both of them. Flip it the other way. Notice that it's jump over to the cut. And make sure my distance, I'm just going to put that down at 25. Go through the side there. Just make sure it pops out the bottom there. Okay, just like that. Hit OK. Change that extrusion. So I will rename it. Oh, hang on. What have I done there? Rename that, and I'll just call that 22 millimeter holes. Okay. And there is my part fully complete. Hopefully you didn't find that too difficult. We added some new features like the chamfers and also creating holes from a sketch rather than using the hole feature. Wonderful. Okay, I'll save this off and start the next part. Thank you.